Hey, here we are. Do you want to start?
Hi there. Welcome. And since you're holding the tooth, should I start?
Uh,
You seem to be preoccupied. You got a lot going on over there. I'm Dr. Steph Ganter, by the way. This is Between Two Teeth.
I'm Dr. Bob McNeil, oral maxillofacial surgeon.
It's a long title.
It is.
Can you shorten it at all?
No. So, what I want to talk about today, and this is a surprise topic for you, I want to talk about a title of I'm a new dentist and I want a fancy car.
So what I hear you say is today we are talking about am I the new dentist?
You're the new
I'm
dentist.
the new dentist and I want a fancy car.
Yeah. Tell me about that.
Okay, I see. So previously on Between Two Teeth, we were talking about expectation management. Depending on your expectations, some of you may have graduated expecting that within a couple years, or maybe upon graduation, you would get a new fancy car. And I don't know everyone's expectations, of course. My perspective has changed a little bit on that.
Why don't you
Initially,
talk about that?
right. Yeah. Thank you so much. Initially, I was thinking, I grew up, I didn't have any kind of fancy car, and my prized possession was a 2006 Camry with cloth interior, and
Which you still have.
which I still have. Yes.
240,000 miles?
Not quite to the moon and back, no, but we're getting there. We're getting close. I just figured out the child locks on it recently, which was kind of
Because I know,
nice.
and the reason I bring it up, because you wanted a new car.
So here's yes, I'm glad
Get
you're
down
bringing
to
this
it.
up. Yes, let me
Get
get
down
down
to
to it. So the whole premise is I want a new car. How much, what does affording a new car mean? What is that going to mean for my future earnings and whatnot? And what I've learned through some finance books is that earned income and passive income are two different things. And just because you want something and you want to afford it right now and you have the money in your bank account to go out and get it, doesn't necessarily mean that's going to set you up for success in the future. So I'd caution people when they first get out, instead of buying that new fancy car, I would caution you and say, hey, let's see how we can invest this.
But that sounds like you're a bit of a fun killer. And I hate to bring up that
A fun killer.
I hate to bring up that I've got an MBA.
Wow. Is that what does
Obviously.
MBA stand for?
A master's
I'm
in
not
business
sure.
administration.
Are you sure? That's the degree you got?
So I agree with what you're saying. I think it gets super difficult because people don't want to delay gratification because they've been in school for so long. I too felt the same issue. I've wanted a Porsche 911 since I was a kid. And part of it was I was a little afraid of once I got it, what that was going to do. Would it ever meet my expectations, which I didn't think it would? And I ended up buying kind of a fancy car on the used car market. And then I had to worry about it. And I had to worry I couldn't take it certain places. I was afraid someone was going to bang it up. And
Have you ever been embarrassed by what you drive? Because
I have.
sometimes,
So I had,
that's a factor.
I've owned 2 minivans. And so I know all about some of the challenges that it, but they're practical. But I think where the reason I wanted to bring it up is trying to sort out what makes sense, especially for a new practitioner. From an MBA perspective, you certainly want to have access to capital. We're in a time right now, we're still in COVID. We don't know what that's going to look like. The real estate market is high, the stock market is high. Having the ability to have some of your powder dry, to have access to capital when
So
the
I'm
stock
gonna
market
I'm
does
gonna
correct. Go ahead.
slow you down right there. And for people like me, simply put, and I think you made a lot of great points right there. But you mentioned some kind of colloquial phrases such as
Colloquial. It's a good
keeping the
word.
powder dry.
Yeah.
What does that mean specifically?
It just means having some money.
All right. So simply put,
And
having some money in
decrease
the
debt
bank.
load. Part of,
So we all know we got to decrease our debt. We're kind of fed that since we start dental school. Not everyone takes out debt for dental school, but most of us do. I was
Right.
one of the people that took out debt for dental school, and I lived well below my means. I shared an apartment with roommates in dental school. I didn't have the nicest apartment by far. And, actually, when it came time to taking out loans, my dad actually told me that it wasn't going to work out that way.
Oh,
And you're dying to say
well, are
something.
we being fun suckers to bring up this topic?
Yes and no. I think it depends on what you want. And if having a car, I know some of my friends who did go out and buy that car and they love it. They wouldn't do anything different. That is what they wanted. And they may be in different financial positions, but I would caution you here. If owning your car or if having your awesome new car that all your friends like and that you're proud of and that makes you feel good, sometimes feeling good about yourself is worth it.
Mm.
But I'm tell you the other side of this coin though. If you can find a way to delay that gratification perhaps and focus on this every a car. Unfortunately, most of us will buy cars that are depreciating assets. And the another way to look at this is you'd rather your earned income, so the money that you make practicing dentistry, you want those dollars to go into investment vehicles. Not to make a pun on the word vehicle, but investments.
Oh, see what you did there?
See what we did there.
That's pretty
But
good.
you want it to go into investments that are going to make you passive income at the end of the day, especially as a young practitioner. The power of time.
I hate to interrupt.
Oh, do you?
Great
But please
points.
do.
Great points. And um, just being able to jump on opportunities when they do present themselves and not being overburdened by debt, having a certain sleep factor. And I think the challenge is for new practitioners, especially if you're brand new, everyone wants a piece of you, for lack of a better way of describing it. Bankers do. Obviously, every salesperson does. They want to convince you you need to have this, you've got to do such and such. And it is a difficult minefield out there, especially for new practitioners. And that's where I'd encourage people to sort of talk to other practitioners, find some sort of mentor like relationship to say, hey, here's where I'm at. What do you suggest I do?
I love that you brought up a mentor here. And one of the biggest challenges right now with young practitioners is the lack of mentorship, of good mentorship.
And I would say for myself, someone who's been in practice for almost 20 years, one of the challenges is flipping the switch to go from needing a mentor to now you look around, you're like, oh my gosh, I guess I'm a mentor. And to develop that
Mm.
relationship there and be able to pass things forward.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I'm still holding the tooth, by the way.
Is that good? I think you're kind of letting
I'm
it
gonna
kind of
have a
hang
hand. I
down
don't,
a little
well,
bit.
I hope you don't expect this, but
My
go on.
expectations are that
Well,
exactly.
better
Yeah,
lower
maybe
your
by the
expectations. So no,
so
those
kind
are
of
all good points.
yeah, circling back, the whole premise of this is I'm a young doc, I want to buy a car. There are pros to going out and buying a car, and it doesn't have to be your dream car necessarily. But there are some things people have small families. Maybe they need that minivan you're
Yeah.
talking about. Maybe that makes sense. Maybe where they're at, their car just broke down. It was in an accident,
Yeah.
something.
And having a safe vehicle can be
It can be advantageous.
it can be a
Absolutely.
smart
Are you
purchasing decision.
commuting 30 minutes plus? Are you traveling
Right.
around to different offices? All of these kind of weigh in a little bit. Can you write off your car as part of your practice?
And figuring out what level of debt you can manage and what can help you sleep at night, and you don't want to be overextended. That's what COVID taught me.
Right. And I love the topic you're on. And as we start to wrap up here, overextension as far as good and bad debt ratios is something that you may have experienced already in life. Maybe
Look
you
at you
haven't.
sounding all fancy.
I'm just saying,
Ratios.
yeah. Well, can we talk about ratios, please?
Yeah.
But just to kind of wrap up this whole segment, I would encourage you guys go out, read up on this topic. There's not one book out there. There's a million books out there, audibles, podcasts on how to manage your wealth. The number one targeted professionals for investors or for bad investments are healthcare practitioners. We have high access to income,
Yep.
and we don't know how to keep it.
Yep.
Figure out how to keep your money, get passive income so that you have the choice to retire when you want to retire instead of when you have to retire.
Sage advice.
Oh,
Excellent.
Fantastic. I love Sage.
Thank you for joining us. Hopefully you found an impact there. And if you like what we're saying, please subscribe.
Thank you. This has been a production of Between Two Teeth. I'm one of your hosts, Steph Ganter. This is Bob McNeil. Thanks, guys.